All right, girl. Just tell me you're recording then.
Right? I never heard it do that before.
Like, that's the first. Come on now. So thank you so much for being here with me on today. I'm super excited. I have Miss Cooper here today, and we're going to do an interview for Couch to Private Practice. So she is one of the first people in the first cohort that I actually did back in August 2020. Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. It really wasn't that long ago. So she is one of the first people. I had 10 people. So she's one of the first people that actually joined the Couch to Private Practice program. And I am excited to interview her today just to get a little bit more information from her about her experience with Couch to Private Practice. So, ma'am, tell us a little bit about yourself and your business before we start the talking about your experience.
Yes. So I'm Key Cooper. I'm located in Washington, D.C. I am a clinical social worker. So in DC, that is considered a LICSW. I know most places is LCSW, but in DC, it's considered a LICSW. And then I'm also licensed in Maryland, which is considered LCSW-C. So both of those licensures in Maryland and DC allow me to operate and do private practice independently as a clinical social worker. Yeah, I like to have fun. I like to have fun. I am a comic, some will say, but whole time I be serious though. People be like, "You're so funny," and I be like, "I be so serious though." So, so there's that. And I'm not doing private practice full time yet, so I am doing other social work experience. Majority of my experiences in child welfare. I recently started venturing into mental health, but in a different capacity. So I'm a clinical manager at a core service mental health agency, and basically what that means is like overseeing the mental health services. So different types of program. I'm over a certain program and I just oversee those services. So love that way more than child welfare.
Come on.
I mean, I love my child welfare experience. I did it for 3 years. Would not trade it because the amount of stuff that you learn in child welfare, it applies to like I can go to any social work position with the amount of experience that I've had there. So definitely recommend it, but I prefer to be somebody's supervisor and not out here in these streets.
Big facts. I can say like I think I did 2.5 years in child welfare, and it was time for me to go. And I have never found a job that requires as much paperwork as child welfare does. Like no other job has ever required. And I feel like that really got me. And I'm like you, like I wouldn't take it back for anything because I feel like that it's a strong foundation for me to start on. Because like I said, no other job, the amount of paperwork that child welfare have, no other job ever had that. So I'm going into other jobs like, yo, I got to do this, I got to do this, I got to do this. And they like, nah, you ain't got to do all of that.
That's literally where I'm at right now. That's literally, I'm like, the clients are calling and they're in crisis. I'm like, oh, so I need to go out and resolve the crisis. And they like, no, you're the manager. You don't need to do that. I'm like, oh, shoot, I can get used to this.
Right. That is so me too. Like, bro, like I got to go do this. Oh, it's almost 5 o'clock. It's on a Friday, home placements just disturbed and everything. So yes, flashbacks. Whole lot of PTSD, okay? Whole lot.
That's real. That's real.
So, okay. So tell me this. How did you hear about the Couch to Private Practice program?
So through the Millennial Social Work Conference last year, pre-pandemic, like right before the pandemic, we had the literally like I think the next week the whole world shut down. That was crazy. Yes. I was like, some of y'all probably was up in there with COVID, but
that's what I said too. I was like, we was amongst all of those people from everywhere And the next week, the world shut down.
The world
Literally.
shut down, literally. Yeah. So yeah, I heard about it there. Well, I think you started advertising after that or something like that. Yeah. So I met you there and then started following you there. And then that's when I saw that you were advertising about it. I actually, before the conference, I had watched one of your YouTube videos like a long time ago. And then when I saw you at the conference, I was like, oh, I see her on YouTube. So yeah, it was like a full circle moment. So so from the conference we connected, and then I started following you and saw that you was doing it. And I think I'm not sure if I had my clinical license. I think I was on I didn't have my clinical license yet, because I got it during COVID, but I was like very close to having my license, and I knew that I was transitioning out of child welfare. So when I heard that, I was like, I need some guidance.
Okay. So, and I'm glad that you said that, because a lot of people be asking me, like, they're like, I'm on the brakes of getting my clinical license. Should I attend? And I'm like, yeah, like really and truly go ahead and come through. So that way you can already have some of the stuff in place before, you start the whole process with getting your clinical license or whatever. So I'm glad that you actually said that, that you was in a process, that you wasn't fully licensed yet when you took the program.
Yeah. I mean, because it's definitely, you can learn all of it. Like you may not be able to apply for certain things, because you need your clinical license for it, but you can still have the blueprint. So I think when we first, like right around the time we started is when I got licensed, because I got licensed in like July, August time. So like right when I registered for it, I wasn't fully licensed, but when we started, I was fully licensed. But yeah, definitely, even if you're not fully licensed, it's still a great blueprint to have, because then once you get that final license, you can go back and be like, okay, this is step 1, this is step 2, and just work it through there.
So tell me about your experience with the program.
So I loved it. I loved that it was like hands-on as you can be virtually, right?
Right.
But it was very like it's trying to like open discussion. So it's like, okay, this is what the agenda item is, but here goes, let's talk about whatever you're feeling. I like the in-class sort of assignments that we did, like working through like our target population. I love that it was recorded and you can play it back, because I missed a couple sessions because that time difference kept throwing me off.
Yeah.
So I missed a couple, but to be able to go back and watch it and still like go to the next class and still be caught up with where everybody is. I love that. Yeah.
Okay, sounds good. So yes, so for those of you that really do want to know, although I am based in Louisiana, we just said, Key just said that she's from the DC and the Maryland area. So how was it any type of difference from when I was like giving you guys the information to apply it to your state?
It was different as far as the way that you go about it. A little bit. So like, of course, you apply for your LLC, is always going to be a different process in each state. DC was actually pretty quick. Like I just applied online. I did like one thing on the application wrong, so they sent it back, but then when I fixed it, it was done. The applying for the tax employer ID number through the IRS, that's the same, because that's universal. The MPI number process is the same too, because that's universal. I think the only difference is the actual applying for the LLC. Of course, you got to know what your state requires. And I think I want to say applying for the insurance companies was a little bit different. I know with Care First, like they were just like giving me all of this communication. I was just like, why is the application approved or not? Like, why are y'all talking to me? Like, it was just like, it was a state person. And I think it's because of the area. So I was licensed in DC first. And then I got my clinical in Maryland, because I'm based in DC. So I started with DC. And then when I got my clinical in Maryland, I'm communicating to them, I'm licensed in both places. So then they're navigating that because it's 2 different states. So yeah, but I think everything from what you explained was pretty much straightforward because it's universal things like the LLC is universal, although you know your state might require different things. The NPI number, that's a universal thing, signing up for that. And I think you talked about the CAHQ process.
Yeah, CAQA.
Yep, that's universal too. Now that like the NPI number in the CAQA, that's something that I had already because I was doing fee for service. So only thing I had to do was get an NPI number for my practice. So
okay.
and that was the same process. Yeah, everything else I think it was a little bit like it may not look the same, but like the instructions were the same.
Okay. But would you say the blueprint did help you?
Yeah. Because then you know what to contact. So it's like, you know, what's the first step? Well, the first step, you know, you need to apply for NPI number for yourself if you don't have that, you know. So knowing like where to start and then going through each step and kind of adjusting it based on your state. So if your state requires, you know, something other than, you know, it's not going to require nothing other than the NPI because that's pretty standard. But like if it requires that you submit something additional than like what was on your list or something like that, you at least know like, okay, let me Google how to get an NPI number in DC or Texas or wherever you are.
Right. Because I know that with Texas, instead of their LLC, they have to do a PLLC for the because they're professional instead of just a regular LLC. Now I did learn that through one of the ladies that was from Texas, and so she had called me and she was just like, hey, they're talking about I need a PLPC, and so she explained it to me, and I was just like, yeah, that's what you need, you know. And so I do want to tell you guys that like, y'all do have access to me. Like if there's any type of question, like you feel free to email me. And we also did like one-on-one sessions. Do you remember your one-on-one sessions?
Yeah, we did. I remember us having it, but I will have to look at my notes about it. But I do remember we talked about like the target population. We talked about where I was in the process. So like when we started, I think I had already applied for the LLC. And we talked about that. We talked about the like status of the applications with the insurance companies. It's like a little checklist format.
Right, because it was like in the middle of the whole process when I realized that a lot of people wasn't doing what they were supposed to do. I'm just like, come on, y'all. People were still stuck on information from class 1. And I'm like, no, we need to meet individually. Let's all meet individually to see where you're at and to see that if you're going to like continue, because my thing was I was dead set on everybody needs to lead with something, right? You needed to lead with a practice, or you need to lead with some type of coaching program or something like that. So yeah, that did happen in the middle of their session where it was like, we all need one-on-one sessions so I can check in and see where you're at.
Yeah.
So, okay. So how has this program helped your private practice?
Well, it didn't exist prior to the prior to the program. So I was on paper it existed. So like I had the LLC, I had the numbers and stuff, but I didn't necessarily know how to navigate all of like the billing. Like I know you walked us through like the Care First billing form, which now because of COVID, they're not even doing it paper anymore. You gotta do it through the clearinghouse. But because you walked us through the paper, I was like, okay, I know what this stuff means, even though it took me a minute to figure out the whole clearinghouse process. But once I got that down, the form looked the same as we did in the program. So I was like, oh, okay, I know what this means. So Care First, I got down pat. These other ones I'm still learning. And so I'm just like, I will take all Care First people right now because I know that they're gonna send me a check. These other people, these other insurance, like, cause it's different, you know what I mean? Like everybody has like a clearinghouse option, and that's what they want you to go through, which is like the clearinghouse is their online, how they process online claims. But it just looks different every insurance company. Like we have something in DC called United Healthcare, but their mental health is through somebody else. So it's still United Health, but then you got this other like sub provider. So
it's like, is it Optum? Because that's who I was with. I
Mm-hmm.
was with Optum too.
Yep.
So you have to go through Optum. I think it's Optum Express or something like that to file your claims. Yeah.
Yep. And theirs is actually pretty simple too.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. So yeah, it's like once you learn, I think the hardest part is like knowing what the fields on the form mean, and like what parts you need to fill out, what parts you don't need to fill out. So because we went through that form, it was easy to kind of, even though it didn't look the same. And I think that's the biggest thing, is like it may not look the same in your state, but like the context is still there. Like the process is still there. So you just got to figure out like how you do it in your state. Like you said, the LLC versus the PLLC. I know a lot of people that have PLLCs, right? And over LLCs, I'm like, now that I'm doing it, I'm like, I should have made this a nonprofit. But that's a whole that's a whole nother story. If I was thinking correctly, I've been thinking, I'm like, how can I transition? How can I make this a nonprofit? Because
Look, I talked to somebody and she said that you can make because I was thinking the same thing too. She was like, keep your for-profit side, but also put a nonprofit side as well, and allow your for-profit side to fund your nonprofit. I said, well, come on, sister. Right. And that just gave me today. Yeah. So like that is something that I'm looking into too, because I want to do financial literacy. And I know that a lot of people down here may not be able to afford that. So I want to be able to offer the classes and stuff like that for people for free or whatever. So yeah. But that is a whole nother look. That's a whole nother conversation right there. Yes. All right. So the last question: what is it that you what is something that you feel like you wish you would have got from the class but you didn't?
I gotta think about that, because I feel like literally everything that I got from it helped me make it a reality, right? So on paper, I had already had it down pat, and then I just needed to know, like I'm a very visual person, so I needed somebody to walk me through the process, talk me through the process, and I feel like I got that. I guess I would say if I didn't come with as much as I came with, because like when I came, I had the LLC, I had the MPI, I had the IRS number. So I would say like walking through the MPI process, because I know that can be tricky, of how to apply for one, if you don't have an individual, how to apply for an individual one, and then from your individual one, how to apply for the practice one, because you apply for your practice one through your individual one. So I think that maybe walking through that process might be something that's helpful in the future.
Okay, cool beans. Then that is, I'm glad you said that, because I know that I went through, I'm actually going through that now with expanding to a group practice, having to go back in and adjust some things with my taxonomy code for my group practice. So okay. Well, is there anything, that's all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that you would just like to encourage the people on?
Yes, do it. Sign up. Like, I'm serious. Like, if you're thinking about private practice, if you want to go into private practice, it's the best hands-on. Like you said, Danielle, you're available throughout the process. So if you have questions, shoot her an email. If you're not fully licensed, still, consider it if private practice is the route to go, because it's never too early to have the information. So you rather have the information and just have it, clean cut blueprint for you, and then all you waiting on is that, ink to dry on your license, versus to get the license and scramble and don't know what you're doing, or starting it and having to backtrack. So I would say, just if you know for sure that you want to do private practice, the Couch to Private Practice is a great resource because it's an investment into like your business, right? It's an investment into your business, but it's also practical versus like somebody telling you something that one, they don't know nothing about, or two, so I think that especially with private practice, it's so independent. People don't want to like talk to each other and share information when it's like we all try to do the same thing, so and navigate the same system. So definitely recommend it if you know for sure private practice is the route you want to go and you don't know where to start.
Great. Thank you so much, ma'am. Tell the people where they can reach you at, your social media and your private practice one more time.
Yes. So you can find me on social media, Key, Kee, of all trades. That's my personal one, but I also use it so I use social media as kind of like my resume, right? I put everything because I'm not about to have 5 different social medias. I just can't manage that. So I don't have a separate one for my practice. I will drop, maybe something here or there on my personal one about the private practice, but I use other things like Psychology Today, therapy for Black girls to filter in my clients. So yeah, Instagram, Key of all trades, Kee of all trades. My practice is called Empowerment is Key Christian Counseling Services. And that's empowermentiskey.com. You can click that. And of course, all of that link is in my Instagram bio.
All right. Thank you so much, ma'am, for joining me today. I'm excited to continue to watch your practice grow and you grow too as well. So we will go ahead and end the recording right now. And let's see. So thank y'all. I wanted to make sure I brought in somebody that actually took the program so that they can give you guys feedback from their perspective so that you guys know that this actual program actually works and stuff like that. So
absolutely.
Let's see. Thank you so much. Let me see. Let me end the recording.